that we've been experiencing as storytellers and audience since the dawn of time. Somebody telling you something that happened. And the best storytelling, I mean, believe me, I love movies. They've made my life. I love watching movies. Civil War, like, blew my hair back. I had such a great time. But, like, at the end of the day, it's not so much, like, you can have, shut up! You can have a zillion beautiful pictures, but ultimately it comes down to, like, tell me a story. And somebody, you can do that. You can create more evocative, compelling visual picture just by telling somebody's story. They build it in their head. No one's a better filmmaker than your own brain. So it's like you can show people stuff, and that's fun. But like if you tell someone a story, they build it in their head. You know, like that's what I loved about Tusk. It's a guy sitting around saying things, and there's that moment where we flash back and he sees Hemingway and stuff. But generally speaking, he just says a lot of stuff, and you build the word pictures in your mind. Takes the weight off me as a filmmaker, makes you part of the equation as well, the audience. Like, you know, in movies they say show, don't tell. But because of that scene in Jaws, I've always been the other guy. My characters talk for long periods of time. They say a lot of things. They tell each other stories, and we never really flash back to those moments. So, I don't know. I was really. Some people saw Jaws, like J.J. Abrams saw Jaws and became J.J. Abrams. I saw Jaws and like I became Kevin Smith. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, I know J.J. loves the quiet moments in Jaws too. Like he gave a TED Talks once where he was going like, you know, everyone's favorite moment in Jaws, it has nothing to do with the shark. It's that moment where, you know, the father and the son are at the table and the son is imitating the father. Roy Scheider's like rubbing his face, and then his young son starts rubbing his own face and stuff. It's the quiet moments that get you. You know, the spectacle is there to bring you in. That yanks you into a theater or gets you in front of a TV or puts you in front of your laptop. But, you know, it's the other things. It's the heart, it's the humor, the humanity that we all recognize. That's what kind of glues you in. Even in a movie like Yo-Go's, which like features me as an army of 1 foot tall, you know, Canadian Nazis made of bratwurst called Bratzies. Like, at the end of the day, it's the relationship between the girls, which is like the insanely human stuff. There are moments where the girls are sharing before we get into the weirdness of like battling Nazis and stuff like that. That, you know, make look like being a teenage girl wonderful. Like, you know, we shot this stuff and I was like, fuck, I missed something by being a teenage boy, man. Because there's real truth and wonder to like, you know, the relationship between two girls, particularly when the girls playing the girls in the movie have been friends their whole lives since they were kids. It was kind of an extenuation of real life, and then, you know, I started putting in weird shit like the Bratzies, this giant bully golem, this giant, like, hunking walk-up monster and shit. They fight rubber monsters, man. I don't know. To me, I'm having a blast. I understand, like, you know, we took it to Sundance, and the critics were like, oh, fuck yourself. I get it. Like, it's so not for everybody, but, man, for the people it's for like, the 1 out of 100 people that are like, holy shit, this is my jam, like, this will be that, you know, like the same way when I was growing up. You know, like Buckaroo Banzai was my jam, and nobody else fucking really dug it. But I was like, are you kidding me? It's so fucking weird and wonderful and different than everything else. And sometimes people just go for different. So I'm into a weird, different making phase of my career where some people are like, this is fun, and some people are like, you've lost it. You're smoking far too much weed.
No, and I also like the concept of four-walling the film, you know, going on a tour and building up the word of mouth that way.
Oh, that's always so fun. I mean, we've been doing that. Well, I've been doing that since the beginning of my career, really, with Miramax. When Miramax bought Clerks, Harvey Weinstein put us on the road. And so, like, from the moment the Sundance Film Festival ended, we started touring with the movie, not touring like setting up a four-wall screening, but you go to a festival, they show the movie, you do Q&A afterwards. So with Red State, I think Red State was the first time where I was like, well, I do a lot of road gigs anyway, where I just go out and live podcasts or Q&A. And I always felt like with Clerks, when we made Clerks, that we would have had to have wind up four-walling it. I imagined I would have rented the Atlantic Highlands Twin Cinema, which is now a multiplex. This is the next town over from where I grew up, and four-wall it, you know, get an ad in a local newspaper, do press with the Asbury Park Press or the Courier, and try to fill the theater with as many people as possible. That's everyone that I'd read about who had been an independent filmmaker I had done it that way. And mind you, we didn't have the internet, so it's like you were reading about these cats in like underground indie zines or, you know, like Filmmaker magazine or something like that. So, you know, when I dreamed of being a filmmaker, this is what I dreamed about. Like you make your art and you schlep it to the people and you show it to them. You sit around and like talk about it. But I got lucky, you know, right away. Clerks got picked up. My first thing I ever did got picked up, and somebody else pays the bills and flies you to festivals. You don't have to worry about hand to mouth and stuff. I loved, like, part of Red State was like, well, man, we got a tour in order to make some of the budget back, make the money back and stuff, and did that. And, you know, that was just combining things that I already do, two things that I do separately, make movies and go out and stage and talk and tour. So it's like, let me put the two together. Like suddenly, hey, here's a new movie, and afterwards we can talk about it and stuff. And in some cases, then you could create a podcast of it that goes out there into the world. So you got all these other uses for the same thing. But honestly, like, what I learned on the Red State tour was like Red State only had 20 screenings in the U.S., and not counting Sundance. That was what we took the tour on. So I was at every screening of that movie. I got to watch the audience react to that movie at every, like, twist and turn. I was there with them, like, giggling along the way, taking shit when people didn't like it and whatnot. There's that fucking mall rats and stuff. So, like, you know, it's fun. You have this weird collective experience, and then you get up and talk about the movie, and then more importantly, try to inspire them to make their own statement. Not necessarily a movie if they don't want to do that, but just their own self-expression. You know, like, look at this. This is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever done. But it exists. It's, you know, it's my self-expression for the moment.